This is Let's Talk Call-In Radio. Getting to the root causes of the important issues of the day. This on-the-air community forum believes your voice matters and welcomes all thoughts and views without judgment. Please join today's conversation by calling 415-663-8492 or 8317. And your hosts today are Stephen Hurwitz.
That's me.
At the controls.
Ooh.
Stephen Hurwitz at the controls.
Such power.
And Shelley Rugg.
Hello, good morning.
And I'm Paul Raffel. So when you call in, and let's face it, you're going to call in. We know you are. You will hear a funny little electronic noise as Stephen puts you in the system. Just hang on until you hear him say, caller, you're on the air, and then turn down your radio. Give us a name, and please watch your language. This is live radio, so we don't want the FCC on our tails.
Don't forget, Stephen.
And today...
I'll try.
Today we're talking about a subject. Two people sent me an article from the New York Times on the very same day about this subject, and that seemed like that was a sign that we should talk about this. It's about the work ethic and what it's become. The good old Protestant work ethic, work hard and you will succeed. The American dream, all that, has become something different, apparently, for the millennial generation.
Interesting.
And younger, perhaps. So
they didn't go for that work smarter, not harder.
No,
idea?
Because I think it's because there are these, it's good for corporations that people want to work 80-hour days and 80-hour weeks, and they think it's cool because
80-hour days, that would be
80-hour week. Yeah, 80-hour day would be extreme.
Whoa.
But 80-hour weeks, that's good for corporations. You just hire half as many people. And also the rise of these office space rental spaces that where people are working, and they exhort them to be there, 18 hours a day, working hard, grinding. It's a whole grinding.
Really?
And it's like boot camp. And
sounds like West Marin.
They're using all these words that are becoming buzzwords for, people who are younger than me.
Well, okay.
Everyone's
That's
young.
pretty vast.
So what's this list? What do you got?
Oh, no, it's just they're calling it the hustle culture, and you're grinding, and it's the way to success. I can see, now, I understand that's how creative people, entrepreneurs, artists like yourself, Shelley.
Right.
Businessmen like Stephen used to be. back when he was working, but I can see for businessmen, business people, and artists, and people who are doing something entrepreneurial.
Right.
Of course, it's going to be hard work, like running a restaurant. Terrible hard work, and it's because you want to do that. You want to make a success of the business. Well,
and you're doing something that you feel that you love. Otherwise, you could work for someone else.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that brings up, if you love it, is it work?
Right.
Well, good question. If you have the answer to that question, please call 415-663-8492. Let us know what you think about all this. Let's see, out here, not quite the bastion of heavy business compared with other places in the world, but ran lights are on. Yes. Let's carry on among yourselves. I have to leave the studio for just a second. But.
Well, I'm wondering if the people that are listening to this program, are they amongst the people who aren't working?
Oh. Or they could be self-employed.
Yes, that's
working
true.
from home.
Yes.
That kind of thing.
David is listening, and I'm sure he's self-employed. He's out there.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was telling Paul earlier about this character on the internet who goes by the name of Gary Vaynerchuk. And in the younger circles, that Paul was mentioning, he's like the business icon that so many young people are following. And his whole message is work hard, work more hours. If it's not working for you, if you're not making the kind of money that you think you should be making, then you need to work more.
Okay.
But then conversely, I went through a business training program for women by women, and their message was give yourself a 12-hour work week.
It seems to me, in terms of work harder, and you said something about if you want to make more money, work harder.
Right.
It seems to me that there's an inverse relationship between people who are paid and how much they work. Not always,
right.
But, some of the hardest working people and people with the strongest work ethic, work the most and get paid the least for it. So
I agree.
There's that.
Well, there's good economic reasons for that, right? From the business person's point of view.
Well, from the white male business person's point of
exactly,
view.
Yeah. If you pay them less and make sure that they know that there are people lining up for this horrible job that they're doing for little pay, it kind of forces them to work hard and be good and not rock the boat. And
yeah.
Can I read something that I pulled up from Studs Terkel, who I think is the...
Studs Terkel.
Yeah, he wrote a book called People Talk About What They Do All Day and How They Feel About What They Do. He wrote it in 1974. This is probably the most interesting I've found. Working in the fields is not itself a degrading job. It's hard, but if you're given regular hours, better pay, decent housing, unemployment and medical compensation, pension plans, we have a very relaxed way of living, but growers don't recognize us as persons. That's the worst thing, the way they treat you, like you have no brains, they have only a wallet in their head. The more you squeeze it, the more they cry out. This is Roberto Acuna, farm worker.
Yeah. Yes, grinding work, low pay, but there's the thing about the work ethic. I called it the Protestant work ethic because that's what that's what we always kind of called it all my early life.
Right.
It's a moral thing. It became a morality that you had to work hard, and that was Industrial Revolution, or maybe before the Industrial Revolution, but back when they needed the peasants to get to work and make more money for them, for the landed gentry and for the business owners.
And again, we come back to how religion was designed to control the masses, to shape minds and have them do the bidding of the wealthy without realizing, because they thought they were doing good and right.
Right. People who don't work hard all day, every day are somehow immoral.
Lazy slobs.
Oh, there's Charles Schultz.
Speaking of...
Hey.
Oh.
Well, I was thinking about, we were talking about working hard and working long hours and all this stuff. And... it makes me think about quality of life. Yeah. Like, why are we living, we're alive, and we're going to spend all our waking hours working hard?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's the old question, live to work or work to live, right?
Well, if Europe is if our origins are Europe and Protestant Europe, Northern Europe, if this is the origin of our work ethic...
That's what we like to think, Protestants.
Well, yeah. But I think, most immigrant groups have a strong work ethic. They're coming from places.
Of course.
But it seems Europe now is, it's going the opposite direction. Shorter work weeks, more vacation time, more recognition of pregnancy leave, etc.
Right. They're understanding that with the rates of unemployment that we have, all over the world. I mean, all over developed countries, whatever that means. That you can have people working shorter weeks. They get more rest, and it turns out there's a study just came in today. I just read an article today. There was a study they did in where was it? Somewhere in Europe, and they discovered that when they did a 4-day week, the productivity went up. Like a little. Oh, it was in the UK. That's right, because they made an excuse saying it went up 5%, which is a lot for Britain.
I mean, in a lot of ways, the low wage worker is kind of it's like modern day slavery. You're not really making enough money in our economy to afford to live. And you're very, it looks like we might have a caller, Stephen.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, line 1.
Line 1.
So, they don't, so if you want to hold on to that, so does it make better economic sense to have people who are healthy and happy and having good quality of life and have a good education and are good contributing members of this to the society and the economy? The old village model. We all take care of each other. We all have something to contribute to the village so that we are all healthy, happy, and safe.
Spoken by a person who is not an employer.
Yeah, well.
But I mean, I think that we do need to start to shift in this world. We need to start shift our thinking about how important it is to be a gazillionaire and what really matters.
Well, maybe we should hear what our caller has to say.
Yes.
Hello, you're on the air.
Stephen at the controls. Awesome.
Thank you.
This is Sally.
Hi, Sally.
Is the
Good
captain.
afternoon or late morning.
Yes.
Since I'm not at work, I've lost all sense of time. I don't know who I am anymore.
Not a bad thing.
Just a few little points. First of all, when we talk about work, we're talking about, and I'm not, by the way, disclaimer galore, I'm not saying anything original here. But when we work and talk about work, we talk about earned income. We talk about people who are paid. So to all the moms out there who may have brand new babies, Caitlin Sullivan, shout out, or any of the other people listening who are working in the home because they are taking care of their home and their family, they're not paying into Social Security, they're not compensated. This is, it's not exactly, it's an age-old story, but it's as relevant as ever. And if you couple that with the concept that a lot of people have to work multiple jobs,
right,
just because of the minimum wage, which I think is a great, vast, immoral thrust in our country that is despicable. A refusal to pay people working a living wage. So if you couple those things, we're in ye old dark ages because you were just mentioning like billionaires, millionaires. Well, if a woman is married to a gazillionaire and she's having a family, she may choose to just take care of the home and the children and not receive, obviously, she's not getting paid, but she would be in a position to hire someone to come in, maybe be a nanny. Or I had a friend, an old school chum, she had 2 nannies, one for each child, and a housekeeper.
Right.
And
so she's an employer.
Interestingly, she's an employer. You're right. That's a good point. And I'm pretty sure she wasn't herself working at the time, maybe doing charity work, which is a whole other thing.
Right.
And it's just interesting to think about. Most people, they have kids, and yet they need to have multiple jobs. So this is a big problem.
Well, our economy is so blown up, and the cost of living is just skyrocketed to the point where the jobs that are offered in the world don't keep up with that.
Right. So millennials. It's interesting. We wonder about millennials and their level of tolerance and their frame of reference and what they know, growing up with what they know and not with what they don't know, which may have come before unless they've educated themselves about it. So are they being inured to the possibility that they should have more, or that they should be treated more fairly? And this is millennials across all cultural and economic the spectrum.
I think that article that Paul was referring to was about people in the tech industry. In
the information IT, right? I mean, it's
and they have hot desks and things.
I don't think you can count that ethic across the board for, quote, millennials.
Well, really everybody. I mean, it doesn't matter how old we are. I mean, the question of the young people stands for me. But what I think is a big issue is that people of all ages are struggling, and we all know that. I just want to express my great feelings of frustration and sadness and anger over this. And I think remember that pivot point when you saw like pimply teenagers working at McDonald's, and then all of a sudden you started seeing, there was a film, like a teen film that came out decades ago with an older man working at McDonald's, like a senior citizen.
Yes.
And it was such a novelty and so unheard of. Like, oh, isn't that a great cinematic trope or story idea? Here we have like a senior citizen at McDonald's. But really, then it very quickly became the norm. So,
true.
Anyway, I guess all I did was kvetch. Sorry.
Well,
and you are very good at that now.
We're open to kvetching of all kinds.
Expert at kvetching. That should be my job.
Well, I think the myth is that that fast food, minimum wage jobs are transition jobs.
Yeah, no, not anymore.
No.
That was how they started. Like Sally said, the pimply teenagers.
Well, exactly. No. I mean,
that's one of your three jobs.
Best friend was, first, she worked for like 2 weeks at McDonald's as a 16-year-old or something. And then, fascinatingly, she became like a detective in a department store, surveilling employees to make sure they weren't ripping people off at like the coffee, the food place in the department store.
Wow.
And she was a teenager, and she had this job. I just found it fascinating. So I'll leave you with that thought. We can all become spies and surveil one another, and bye-bye workplace camaraderie.
I think we can just call that Facebook, can't we?
That's right.
Or Alexa.
I believe the Coast Guard was urged to go and get some kind of secret shopper job as one of their options.
Yeah, why don't
they make
they go
it through
and get a second
the
job
shutdown?
And make it through the shutdown.
Right.
We know.
Really going to make me say bad words on the air. Okay.
Bye-bye.
So much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks for calling.
Thank you, Sally.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
The number is 663-8492. We want to hear from you.
Got to hit that yellow button, man.
Now,
pull down the phone.
Oh, gee.
A little.
There we
you
go.
On-the-job training.
Yellow button. All right.
Voila.
Fantastic.
It takes a
Captain Stephen.
It takes a village.
You're listening to KWMR, and this is Let's Talk with Paul Raffel, Stephen Hurwitz, and me, Shelley Rugg. And we're talking about work ethic.
The work ethic. Give us a call, won't you? 415-663-8492.
I'm going to suggest, though, that I think that immigrant groups who are being slammed right now, I think they bring a work ethic to this country that is fading, and they're used to working, and they're used to working hard.
Yep.
And a story that I've seen personally is there's a man here that works in the Palace Market, and I see him on a regular basis, and I'm in the Petaluma Market, and what?
He's working there too.
You're here too?
Don't get me started. What came in today as well, another article that came in today was about this post-work world, the radical idea of a world without jobs. And it starts out, Work is the master of the modern world. For most people, it's impossible to imagine society without it. It dominates and pervades everyday life more completely than at any time in recent history. Tech companies persuade their employees that round-the-clock work is play. Gig economy companies claim that round-the-clock work is freedom because, you're an independent contractor, right? Yes. Right.
By the way, we do have a caller.
Workers commute further, strike less, and retire later. There you go. Digital tech lets work invade leisure. They're never away from their devices. They are on call constantly.
And I didn't hear a word you said. Because,
I know. Well,
we got a caller.
But luckily, we have a caller.
Hey, caller. What are you supposed to do? Introduce yourself and keep it clean?
That's right.
Caller, what's your name? You're on the air.
My name is Ralph.
Hey,
Hi, Ralph.
And I'm calling also to fetch.
Aha. Okay, let's hear it.
Fetch away. Just keep it clean.
You brought him up. Whatever happened to Charles Schultz? The best thing about the show.
He is here.
Wait a minute. The best thing about the show? He's actually right outside the door. But
It actually had some substance then. Now it just seems to be a little bit of,
Wait, you're calling to fetch about us?
Us? Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I am.
Okay.
That's called criticism.
Dear.
Charles Schultz. Even though I disagree,
I think you need to turn your radio down.
my radio's not on.
Oh, are you listening on streaming? You're not?
Anyway.
No, I turned it off when you.
Okay.
Okay, Ralph, let us have
you're doing
it.
great. Let's hear what you have to say.
I miss Charles Schultz.
So do I.
Whatever happened to him?
He's actually in the process of getting a new show together. So yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Good.
Stay tuned.
Yeah. You're welcome.
So what did you say we do? I missed that.
We're shallow and baseless.
I see.
And we're ignorant and
I just kind of missed. There was a little bit of an edge when he was on, and now it's a little bit fluffy.
So yeah, because we're not criticizing West Mariners anymore.
Oh no! It was he had a little bit of a different edge to it.
Yes. Charles
definitely.
is a wonderful person. We love him very much. He is full of knowledge and very vocal and very erudite. There he is. Hey, come in
Clever
and say
fellow. Yes, you have a fan, Charles. You have a fan on the air. His name is Ralph.
He's actually outside in the office right now, so all is not lost.
So he's basking in your kind words.
Oh, good. Well, tell him to get on the show again. He added to the mix.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Ralph.
So do you, Ralph. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for calling. Well, I stand chastised. Well, the thing is about this show, it's not about our knowledge. It's about the knowledge of the collective wisdom of the community out there, the listening community. I know nothing about anything except what I read for 2 days coming up before the show.
Right.
Maybe I'll start talking about Cicero.
Cicero. Okay. Where is
What
that? New
about-
York?
That's next time.
What about
That's next
Cicero?
time. Or
Anyway.
Spartacus. Wait.
So this whole article in The Guardian is all about how work, increasingly precarious, more 0 hours, short-term contracts, more self-employed people with erratic incomes. We have another caller.
Oh, boy.
Stephen, get on it.
Yes, here we go.
And anyway, yes, carry on.
You are on the air. Your name, please, and keep it simple. No, I mean keep it clean.
Keep it simple. Okay. Well,
Hey,
this
MK.
is Mary Catherine of Seattle.
Hello, MK.
Hi. When I grew up, it was the Puritan ethic, not the Protestant,
Yes, okay.
on the East Coast.
Right.
And my feeling about work is that being a early childhood person and trying to train people or alert people to the possibilities of the world, training aside, that work is probably what people do best. And it shouldn't be. It is a 4-letter word, but it should be a 4-letter word, and it should be a joyful thing. If you're lucky enough to find it. And I got paid for 35 years for playing. I didn't get paid very much, but I got paid, and it was great fun. And I was teaching little kids and learning a great deal myself. And it's very heartbreaking and demoralizing to think of all the people out there that hate their jobs.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you bring up a good point, though. Really, it's, you said you had fun, but really, at its best, it's about finding meaning in your life. I mean, we have to do something. It's not like we're just going to sit around all day, but at our best, we find meaning through our work.
Yeah, and I'm sitting here on a sort of gloomy, cold day working on a large watercolor, and that's work to me, and it's joyful. It's wonderful.
Of course.
I'm amazed that I can still not shake all over everything.
But I agree. It's really a heartbreaking situation for people who feel that work is that thing that they must do in order to pay the bills, and they literally can't stand the type of work they're doing.
Yeah, the cubicles, the floors full of neon. I mean,
yeah, whatever it is that you chose.
The lights and whatever they have now that blink a little bit and ruin your eyes. And but there's another thing that is that people seem to be sort of trained into thinking that they can't do anything about it.
Right.
And I'm a risk taker. I always have been, and I'm just so grateful, because so many things have opened up to me in the world that I wouldn't have known otherwise if I hadn't just held my breath and jumped.
Yeah, yeah. It is. It's hard. A lot of people like the feeling of the safety and the comfort of the known, the familiar, and the idea of dropping everything and making a giant change and doing something differently is really scary. It's an unknown, and
right, because success is not guaranteed.
Right.
What is success? I mean, is success living your whole life having a job that you hate?
Right.
I mean,
well, you pay your bills, and then you go to the river once a year, and
right. That is the moral high ground. If you're working hard and supporting yourself,
taking care of the family,
that is the work ethic. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, there isn't necessarily, this isn't necessarily bad to have a work ethic.
No.
Oh no, it's important, but it shouldn't be like this millstone.
Yes, exactly. There should be time for leisure. Sorry.
Times with pleasure, Paul.
We have a tendency,
there is a movement going on certainly all over Europe for, as I said, shorter hours, shorter work weeks, and also they're looking forward to the time when universal basic income will have to be figured out, because jobs are going to shrink, population's growing, especially if people are working 80 hours a week doing these sort of menial desk jobs, because that's how cool it is now to work.
Well, and with artificial intelligence just growing and growing and growing, jobs are going to go away.
And obviously work is not just a job is not working for a lot of people, right? They're not getting enough money for it, and so they're working longer hours just to try to survive. There's something deeply wrong with the system,
right?
Which means the definition of work.
Oh, well, I can look it up.
Got an OED lying around.
While he's doing that, correct me if I'm wrong, or people call in and tell me, straighten me out. It seems that the resentment and the anger that's from the Trump supporters is that they have been trained for jobs, that they're no longer there, and they look at people who are making the money, and they're not in their eyes working. But before I get any farther, it is KWMR that you're listening to, and I have to mention some of our supporters. Brian Barrientos Dentistry. Brian is grateful to have 25 years of practicing dentistry on the Bolinas Lagoon. His office has now moved to B Street in West Petaluma. Appointment information at 707-971-7972. That's 707-971-7972. And we're also supported by Osmosis Day Spa Sanctuary, offering massages, organic facials, and the Japanese cedar enzyme bath. Osmosis is located near the Sonoma coast, just up Highway 1, and features 5 acres of gardens as well as local and organic meals. The spa menu, online booking, and information about the surrounding area can be found at osmosis.com. We're also supported by West Marin Community Services. West Marin Community Service, providing programs to support the community and including a food pantry and an event rental library, emergency financial assistance, the Water Dogs swimming program, a holiday food and gift program, tax prep day, Latino engagement programs, and more. Information at 415-663-8361 or online at westmarincommunityservices.org.
Well done. So, MK, you're still on the line?
Yes.
Hey! Work, the noun. An activity in which one exerts strength or faculties to do or perform something. Activity that a person engages in regularly to earn a livelihood, a specific task, duty, function, or assignment, often being a part of some larger activity, a sustained physical or mental effort to overcome obstacles and achieve an objective or result. There you go. Definition of work, the noun.
Interesting.
You know, we tend to focus on the negative a lot here. And
KWMR, I don't think that's...
But I think...
For yourself, Stephen.
No, just us.
Yeah, well, I save all that negativity for the morning when I'm waking up. But there are, I think, lots of people that get meaning from their job. That, you know, they feel part of an organization that's doing something, going somewhere. They want to provide assistance to that. I think that there's, you talk about the millennials, stuck in a little cubby there, writing code or whatever, and telling themselves that they just have to do it till the job's done, no matter what time it is. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's an example. And what they do is they overpay them to keep them doing the job. But there are lots of people that like what they do.
I had some opportunities to be in some workplaces in San Francisco recently and saw things that I had never imagined. Places I've worked, I worked at one corporate job for Sharp Electronics for a while. And we had a break room with vending machines. But now they have these facilities where they have this, communal sort of kitchen area, and there's snacks. Like bins with snacks. You just go up, put your hand under, and you can get something, or you reach in and you can get a beer out of the fridge. I mean, they make it so that you can pretty much live there.
That's right.
Aha. I wonder if there's a reason for that.
It's really cushy and comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they'd rather be at work than at home, which would probably, even with what they're being paid, if they're in the Bay Area, would probably be a cubby hole. Not much bigger than their desk.
Yeah, I remember my daughter worked for Netflix for a little while, and she talked about how they were always handing out the snacks.
Yeah, sure.
How did she enjoy her work?
She enjoyed it for a little while. It's not, that was just a temporary job. Yeah.
Well, MK.
Yes.
Thank you for calling.
You're entirely welcome.
Enjoy that nice weather up there.
And have fun working today.
I will. I'm having a lovely time working and listening to you guys.
Good. Thank you. MK.
Take good care.
Cheers.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I want to remind you that you can reach us at 415-663-8492.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This is terrific.
Yeah,
I got hands all over here helping me.
Pointing fingers everywhere. There, that one.
Well, we're working right now. We're not being paid.
That's right, damn it. Strike. Go on strike. Up the workers.
But it sort of goes along the lines of what MK was talking about, that she's working on a painting today, but it's a kind of work that she's really enjoying.
Well, again, I mean, if we're lucky enough, and I have been lucky enough to do things that earn me money and that I enjoy doing, then
hey, we have a caller. Hang on, caller. We'll get to you in a minute.
Put him in.
Oops.
Wrong one.
Whoa, what? That's line one?
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Turn the other one off. Sorry about this. Yes, if you're lucky enough, to have a work that you enjoy, as I think all of us have in our lives.
Well,
then that's wonderful, and it's still work. I mean, I'm still exhausted after I've done, although I don't really do full days
I take
anymore,
issue with the word luck. Don't you think you chose your path?
Oh, sure, but
Right?
there's always an element of luck involved. I
But
just happen to be here. In
you
the right
also are
place.
willing
I think
to...
you have to earn your living to really call it work. I mean, this conversation is so shallow that I think we should maybe hear from the person on line one. Hi there, you are on the air. Your name, please, and what's your language?
It's the other consistent caller on your show, Kreta.
Hi, Greta. Thanks for calling.
Sure. So here's a subject that you guys haven't talked about yet, and that is the demographics of work ethic. When I moved to California from the Midwest, I found not everyone, that's a little bit harsh. A lot of people had not the same work ethic as I did. I mean, I was raised in a Protestant community, and everybody worked for a living. It was a farming community, granted. And you worked. That's just what you did. And whether you liked it or not, you worked. You earned money for your family or to do the things you wanted to do, go to school, whatever. But in California, if you didn't have to work, you got unemployment or figured out something else. And there was a lot of people that didn't like to work, so they didn't. And the same this was a socialist country when I lived in Holland, but if you didn't really want to work, you didn't have to work, and you could live off the dole, as they say.
Like a base pay?
Here, but yeah, I mean, they got paid for not working because there wasn't that big of a population that had jobs, so they took care of their country. But again, that was a much smaller country and a much smaller population. I don't think that would fly too much here. And we're more democratic than we are.
So has your work ethic eroded now that you're in California?
Good question.
Not at all. Ask anybody that knows me. I work harder than most people, even though I'm retired, supposedly.
Yeah.
Well, there's still a negative connotation to somebody that is receiving general assistance. And, I
guess it depends on whose circle you run in, because I was in a few circles where it was considered cool not to be working.
What age?
When you were in Holland?
No, here.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And how old were you when that was going on? I mean, is this
30s, 40s?
30s and 40s. Wow. Well, okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. But as I was reading earlier, the idea of the universal basic income is coming and getting bigger. I don't know when it'll happen here. I'm guessing that in Europe it's going to start before too many more years go by, because there are too many people and not enough jobs, and there are going to be fewer and fewer jobs as AI and robotics and everything else takes over. Those jobs at McDonald's will not be done by people.
Yes, they're already working on
pimply
that.
or otherwise.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
What's going to happen to the general population? I mean,
Exactly.
they're going to have an income from something.
Exactly. Well, that's the idea. Is universal basic income is that the government, perhaps instead of financing the military to the tunes of hundreds of billions of dollars, maybe they could actually pay their people just to do the good works that they want to do for themselves and for the country. And
that's a very idealistic statement that you make. It would be wonderful, but there's going to have to be a lot of changes in mind melding before that happens.
Yes, the system is going to have to get so out of whack. I mean, how far out of whack does it have to be when 26 people have more money among themselves than half the population of the Earth? I mean, the system is broken already.
Out of whack when we have an orange-haired man leading the country.
Wait a minute,
thinks we need to get rid of Congress now.
An orange face, too. It's sprayed on face. Don't forget that.
That's my opinion only.
What do you got against redheads?
KWMR.
Well, Paul, you're talking about redistribution. Really, that's what you're talking about.
Right, you're talking about redistribution, and that's kind of straying far from the topic of work ethic, I guess.
Well, I don't know, because as you were saying, it was kind of this, when people are on welfare, it's because or on unemployment, whatever, it's because they don't want to work, or perhaps they couldn't find work that was satisfying or sufficient, or maybe they didn't want to work part-time, they was trying to wait for a full-time job.
I don't think it's really true that people don't. It's not always about them wanting to work. It's that they have bills to pay and they haven't found that job yet that's going to pay the bills. So they need help.
And you have to realize there's a lot of work that's under the table that doesn't get reported. I mean, there's trade for this and there's trade for that, and working without paying the taxes. There's a lot of that. I mean, so people, if they have an initiative, if they want to do what they want to do, they'll find a way to do it, whether they get paid for it or not, in physical cash and have to pay and report. But, you have to put food on the table. You have to have the electricity bill, paid, except if you're Tori Spelling, I guess, and have $800,000 debts and credit card bills that don't get paid, and because your name is Tori Spelling.
Oh, really?
Yes, it's interesting how...
What could she be employed as? I mean,
wealthy people can have so much
Who's
debt.
Tori Spelling? No, that's not what he said.
She's an actress.
She used to be
daughter of a famous...
Oh, yeah, Aaron Spelling's
daughter.
She's also the daughter of, I forget what his name...
Aaron, yeah. But that's so like 1990.
It was reported that she was sued by American Express for not paying her bills, and that she and her husband walked out on a... Well, anyway, has nothing to do with work ethic. But, you work. You work at doing what you want to do, whether you want to do it or not, and there has to be some satisfaction from getting paid, right?
Oh, of course. But yes, I can, but the point is that in the future, that may not be working. That may not be...
Right.
I mean, it
may not be available.
It's already barely working.
Right.
Because rents have gone up so high.
The other thing that's going to have to change, I think that's going to have to somehow fall more in line with the fact that if people are having a universal income, then they'll have to have a universal outgo, as you might say, too.
Right, cost of living.
Right.
Well, there's a circle. The money ends up in the same pockets eventually. Regardless if you give people a minimum income or not, they're going to purchase their products. The products are made by corporations that earn money. The earnings from those corporations go to the people that own them, and then they're taxed, and it goes back. It's a circle.
It's the trickle-up theory instead of the trickle-down theory. That if people actually have a little bit of money and maybe some free time to spend it, or
it'll be good for the economy.
It'll be good for the economy, right?
Well,
which is the thing. What's that?
Shopping. Isn't that the national pastime? Shopping.
Well, if you can afford it, yeah, sure. That's what people do.
Paul, will this income promote large families?
What do you mean?
Well, the more
universal income,
more people in your family, the more you get.
Finland. Oh, here you go. Finland is doing a trial of it already. So, a year ago, in 2017, they started doing a basic income trial. Nordic nation began paying a random but mandatory sample of 2,000 unemployed people. Oh, okay. For age 25 to 58 a month, 560 euros a month. Yeah.
But Paul, again, Finland is a very tiny country.
Exactly. Homogeneous, small.
Yes.
Right.
More people in the city of Sacramento, maybe.
I mean, who wants to immigrate to Finland?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Not that I don't like Finland. I do. I want
sounding
to go
pretty good actually these days.
there too, but it doesn't attract a majority of people that flood across the borders.
They might not want you, really.
From Estonia or somewhere. Yeah. Maybe they don't want us. They probably wouldn't let us in anyway. But, no, exactly. It's a small country, and of course they can try anything, and Europe has small countries, and they can all try what they want. And But the 4-day week is certainly starting to happen over there. And I'm guessing
it's
that
starting to happen here too.
Is it? Really?
Yeah, it is, especially in not higher paid, maybe government jobs where you have a flex day and you can work from home, or you don't have to work. You spend 12 hours a day working instead of 8, and that takes care of the other day off.
I see. Yeah, right. Well, there is that. Yeah. Well, they did find, as I said, they found that when people had a shorter work week, productivity went up. So
Makes sense.
A 3-day weekend is not a bad idea.
Well,
Stephen.
I'm going to beg off now.
Thank you, Creda.
Thank you.
Thanks for piping in.
Can I read something from?
Thank you, Creda.
Can I read something else from Studs Terkel?
Yeah.
He said he's interviewing a Phil Stalling, who is a spot welder. Again, this is way back in the 70s. I stand in the same spot, about 2 or 3 feet area all night. The only time a person stops is when the line stops. We do about 32 jobs per car, per unit, 48 units an hour, 8 hours a day. 32 times 48 times 8. Figure it out. That's how many times I push the button.
Yeah.
That's work, and that's not. I don't think that's work anymore, though. Now they have
there's nobody doing that job now.
They have a robot that pushes the button.
Of course.
And once they have their capital investment, I think they don't have to pay the robot as much money.
No unions for robots yet. It might come, though.
But they'll have maintenance for sure.
I
think that's
we
line
have
1.
Another caller?
Yeah.
Hey, we're really hearing it on work today. Caller, you're on the air. Your name, please, and keep it clean.
It's Sally calling one more time.
Oh,
Sorry
Sally.
to call twice, and doubtless
It's
to
lovely.
excel.
You always have something good to say, so
I want to just ask a question. What does everyone think about the worker-owner thing? So when you are, I know that co-ops, and I mean, I wonder how that affects work ethic, that you're a worker but part owner.
I got to go to a theater in San Rafael that is worker-owned. And one of the worker owners came in and spoke to the crowd. And the feeling I got was that it was awesome. That it, I mean, imagine that the work you do is going to sort of increase, the success of the organization as a whole, which then comes back to benefit you. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you just work for somebody, you don't get to enjoy those benefits.
Yep.
What happens, though, if the co-op is losing money?
Well, they got to figure it out, right? They work together and solve the problem.
I mean, I've done these entrepreneurial, quote-unquote, businesses, and, in my experience, the owner is the last person paid. If there's no money at the end of the month, the owner does not get any money.
Well, that's how it should be.
Well,
in the ethical world.
I'm just saying that, where is it going to come from?
Yeah.
I'm just saying that, we have this myth that people who own their own business make so much money. It isn't always the case.
No.
Well, but I don't think
I'm not suggesting
it's sacrificial.
That at all, Stephen.
It can be sacrificial.
She wasn't
really.
talking about one owner. She was talking about all the people that work at a place are part owners.
And have a special incentive to do the best they can. That's the idea.
And they have a shared responsibility for the outcome.
Yeah.
But to your point, Stephen, you're saying it's difficult to sustain. From what I mean, you have a business acumen and experience, unlike me. So I'm a worker bee and long-time volunteer as well. So I don't, but I'm not in a worker-owned environment, but I have great pride in the organization for which I work and in the work that I do. But I'm just thinking, as in those worker-owner, is that system sustainable? Should it be more widely used? And I will hang up and thank you.
Thank you, Sally.
Thanks for calling.
The worker-owned cooperative industries. There was that famous one in was it Argentina or in Spain? It was so famous I forgot where it was. But there are great examples, and there are some of these smaller places like the co-ops in the co-op in Sebastopol and other worker-owned places. Oliver's is worker-owned. It's I think. I don't know. The idea of it is that it's everyone is taking responsibility for that, for the success of the company, and if it's not working, then they have to figure it out. Many minds have a say in it instead of just one guy, one woman at the top saying, "Well, we're not going to carry that anymore because whatever."
Well, fill me in though. When it's worker owned, that doesn't mean that everyone gets the same paycheck, does it?
It could be. Because they're all going to make that choice together. They're going to decide together what's a fair pay, how to spend the money, how to improve the business, all those things.
I'm guessing the part of the incentive would be that you're not getting just minimum wage. Whatever.
So if there are at the end of the month, if there are surplus funds not needed for reinvestment in the enterprise. Does a worker-owned enterprise, do we distribute the profits or
every month? I don't know.
I'm sure they can decide. Maybe they invest money.
If anyone knows about worker-owned or has experience, give us a call, 415-663-8492.
Somebody seems to know. Hold on, you're on the air.
Hey, hi.
Hello.
This is Melinda.
Hi, Melinda.
I can't think of the name of the place in southern Spain either, but it's very famous, and it's not only just worker-owned small, businesses that have also become cooperative with one another. So it's people being part owners, but it's also all these businesses together making this really large thing, but it's not like a top-down corporation because what they have to do is they have to have meetings about what they're doing all the time.
Right.
And people are represented. And, R.D. Wolf talks about this stuff a lot, worker-owned businesses. And I just have another thought about, you're saying Finland is a small country. I think it would be great if the United States was divided up into small countries according to, kind of the geography. And then we could maybe work out of the whole capitalist model and the whole class structure. I was brought up to think that we lived in a classless society. That was the public school talk. Well, I found out different. And anyway, we have this worker class is basically a slave class.
You're right.
It's becoming more and more that way, right? I mean, the disparities now.
And the prison industrial complex, which is really, it's sub-slavery.
Well, and that's why they wanted to get rid of all of the, what are those worker organizations?
Unions.
Union, they want to get rid of the unions because the workers want good, they want good quality of life, and
they exert power,
and they don't want to be abused, exploited so strongly.
Well, I just think that people, or maybe it's out of scale for human beings to try to have this big a country and, the redheaded guy in charge, and dumb down the whole school system, get rid of the public schools, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, I know. Anyway, it's a little bit of a nightmare right now for some of us.
It's just addressing the whole capitalist model as well.
Yeah.
So there's some more food for thought.
All right. Well, thanks for calling, Melinda.
Thank you,
Melinda.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Ooh, that was loud.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so the worker cooperatives. It's a good model, isn't it? It seems that way. Anyway, what needs to happen is that capitalism, not a bad thing. Capitalism is kind of ingrained. You have something you want to sell it to someone. Line one.
Line one is
I
flashing.
see. Okay.
And,
red button.
And
red button, little green thing goes up. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, please?
Well, this is David, one of the regular callers.
Hi, David.
And
you got 3 minutes, David.
I have a question about if we have universal base income, where's that money going to come from? The government's going to give it to us. Well, where's the government going to get it?
Oh, yeah, the billionaires, right?
They're going to rip it out of the hands of the billionaires who are willingly going to give it up.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Nope.
No. Yeah, well, I don't know. But there are people working on this. And yes, it would be paid out by the government. Perhaps if they, as I said, if we were to shrink the military a few score billions, that would be great.
Right.
And I don't know. Yeah, it's something worth doing. We did do a show on it, and I can't remember why. I can't remember where it... Anyway, sorry.
It's Stephen's first time on the board,
Yes.
and we're just
Why don't you come here and help me?
our sign language is just not effective.
So where is it coming from? It's coming from the billionaire class, and of course they won't do it, and so we'll have to have an uprising, and all of the capitalist society will break down, and we'll have something else.
That's what it boils down to.
Yeah.
And let's see, what's another thing I was wondering about? If we all own, if say Oliver's has a business and everybody takes part in it, and they have these endless meetings, which are really fun. But there are people who have expertise in certain areas, and is their expertise going to be put by the wayside because we have to have everybody has to have a say about it? I mean, it sounds like a nice idea. It sounds like a lot of meetings.
Yes.
Well,
I was thinking that too.
Well,
change is coming, and we whatever we have to do, we got to do what it takes.
It's all worth thinking about. That's for sure.
A democratic workplace, not a bad idea.
Hey, David,
Thanks for calling.
we got to call quits, and thank you all that called in.
Thank you, David.
This is KWMR Point Reyes Station.
It's okay. Keep going.
It's fine.
All right.
CD number 3 is ready to go.
There we go.
Don't push that yet.
I don't? Oh, there we go.
And we'll be back next week. Thank you. KWMR does not take a stand on any of the matters issues discussed on Let's Talk. Opinions expressed on this program are those of the hosts and callers and don't necessarily reflect the views of KWMR, its board of directors, underwriters, or members. Thanks, everyone. Thank you for calling, and we'll be back next week. Thanks.